Good afternoon, baseball fans, and welcome to another edition of Sports Talk with Rags here in Season 3, Episode 50. And here today, we are honored here to have Great Bridge alum and UVA baseball alum Connor Jones with us. Connor, how are you this afternoon?
I'm doing well, Rags. Thanks for having me on.
Sure, no problem. And hey, appreciate your time. And let's start at the beginning here. When you were growing up, did you play all sports or just stick there with baseball?
I'd like to think that I gave every sport a fair shot, but by the time middle school came around, I was pretty much a three-sport athlete between baseball, basketball, and swimming. So those are my big three.
Yeah, yes. And then when you came through Great Bridge, I know with growing up in Western Branch, I know that Western Branch Great Bridge rivalry there on the baseball field has always been a big game.
Oh yeah, I mean they, especially my senior year, they gave us a run for our money a couple times, and I've always had a lot of respect for their program and how well coached they were with Roland Wright. And everything. So, Western Branch has been one of the premier, baseball organizations in in the, Southeastern Virginia area for a while now.
Right. And with being part of Great Bridge baseball, I mean, you guys won a state title there in 2011 and went back to the state tournament there your senior year.
Yeah, I mean, those are some really really awesome memories. What we were able to accomplish in 2011 there was really special, and then getting a second crack at it in 2013 was pretty cool too. But that 2011 group was a really special group.
Hmm. Yes. And then, I mean, getting the opportunity to not only play college baseball, but being a part of Cavalier baseball there at UVA.
Yeah, I mean, I'm super super fond of my time at Virginia. Really proud of the program and proud to be a part of it. And obviously, we had a tremendous amount of success there when I was lucky enough to be there. So just really happy for these guys and the continued success of the program and the guys that are getting to go to Omaha now and all of their success. It's a special feeling as an alum of the program to see the success that they're having.
Yes. And I mean, 2014, I mean, you guys won 50 plus games, but back at it there at 2015, and what a special year that was.
Yeah, it's such a unique story for those that aren't familiar with it. In 2014, we were the number one team in the country, wire to wire, pretty much, and really, really talented, and fell up short against Vanderbilt in the national championship. And I think Vanderbilt had a good team, but I think many people would say our team was more talented, and we were the favorites, if you will. And then the next year we come back, and we thought we had a pretty good team, but that next year Vanderbilt was loaded, and they were definitely the favorites, and we ended up knocking them off. So both years, kind of the same teams, with the underdog ended up coming out in both years. So just a pretty cool story for us to be able to kind of redeem ourselves.
Yeah, and kind of special thing is I see that they're in 2015. I mean, not only were you high school teammates with Charlie Cody, but then also you get to play with a Great Bridge alum there in college as well.
Yeah, and I think what a lot of people might not know is Charlie and I first met when we were like 9, I think, playing rec basketball, and we played AAU ball. We played our whole baseball careers together, really, ever since I was 10 and he was 9. He played up at an age. So we played AAU ball together, then to high school, then showcase ball with the Canes, then to UVA together. So we pretty much made every stop of your baseball track you possibly can together. So yeah, he's one of my lifelong friends, and those were some really really cool experiences. All the way from 9, 10 years old to a national championship in college.
Yes, and I moved to Chesapeake in '87, and like I said before we started taping, my brother Mike Ragsdale played for Snake there at Western Branch. He had an opportunity to go to a camp at UVA, and just to see where the program was there in the late 80s, early 90s to what Coach O'Connor has done to the program. I mean, you talk about a 180 there for the better.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest, I can't attest to a lot of how the program was that far back. Um, but I like to think that when I was there, that we had a pretty cool facility and all that kind of stuff. And as far as all the things we had access to, and then I was back 2 or 3 years ago, and I was just blown away by just yet another renovation they did. I mean, it's a really, really big time facility nationally, and man, it's really cool. I'm jealous of the guys that get to play there now. I'm like, this place is really, really cool. So again, just the success they've had, it's eye opening, and I'm jealous of the place they got there now. It's sweet.
All right. Yeah, and I'll get started there tomorrow at 7 o'clock, and they open up there against Florida, which is on their side of the bracket.
Yeah, well, I tell you what, I live in Florida now, so I'm
Oh,
been talking a little more smack this week to some of the people around here, and and when people say, what is UVA or who are the Who's down here, I'm just like, man, let me tell you what. So it's a little different, I grew up in Virginia my whole life, but now living in Florida, there's a different sense of pride when it comes to your university and your program and those kind of things.
Right. Yes, and I saw an article in the Richmond Times where Coach O'Connor's daughter works for Florida Athletics.
I saw that as well, so I'm sure she's dealing with definitely more than I am for sure, but I'm sure she's dealing with a fair amount of back and forth this week, which is a big week for her. Pretty cool.
Right. Yeah, and and the opportunity that you got to stay in state, be part of UVA baseball, win a college national championship, and then getting the opportunity to play professional baseball there through the St. Louis Cardinals organization.
Yeah, I mean, it was never a goal of mine when being recruited to stay in state. I didn't really know what I wanted.
Mhm.
And then UVA came about and ended up really kind of being the perfect fit for what I wanted. But there's definitely an added sense of pride, playing for your state school. I thought that was really cool. And again, not something I was ever set on doing. Um, so that's awesome. And then, I was fortunate enough to get a chance to play professionally. When the Cardinals drafted me in 2016, and then I'm out this year with an injury that
Mhm.
I'm rehabbing back from. But yeah, I'm hopeful to be back on the field next year.
Yes, and with the little revamping of the AAA, where Memphis is part of the same league as the Tides, and so getting an opportunity to play at Harbor Park, that must have been. I mean, even though you were on the visiting side, just being able to come back come back home and play at a park that you grew up going to games to.
Oh, for sure, a really cool experience. I mean, I remember going to see David Ortiz rehab there with Pawtucket when they would come to play the Tides, and going to Tides games my whole life. I wish I could think more fondly of Harbor Park. It seems like every time I throw there, it's a disaster. But I think I threw there in high school against Cape Henry, and I don't remember it going particularly well. And last year or 2 years ago when I was there with Memphis, it didn't go particularly well. I'm always so excited, and it means so much to me to throw back home and in front of a lot of family and friends and stuff. And I think over the years I've tried way too hard. Something you learn from through experience. But I know that now, and it was a good learning experience. It kind of sucked at the time, but again, it means so much to me to play back home, and I love Harbor Park and Virginia Beach, and so going back there was always super exciting for me. But it was definitely a cool experience, and especially with the new AAA schedule, being home for a week.
Yeah.
It wasn't like we were there for a 3-day weekend or something. We were there for a full week, so that was definitely really cool. Like I said, I wish I could have thrown better, but always great to see family and friends, around the ballpark there.
Yeah, and just with the opportunity, I mean, even there with the ACC network. I mean, even with the coverage there of college baseball, and even with minor league baseball, there with technology. I mean, definitely always opportunity there to watch UVA baseball here with the ACC network and technology.
Without a doubt, I hope they can get to the ACC net or SEC networks level soon,
Yeah.
so they can keep pushing ACC sports to that level.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And speaking of the ACC, I mean, Wake Forest, they're the other side of the bracket. So definitely awesome to see the ACC represented there in Omaha.
For sure. I'd be lying if I said I knew a ton about their program this year, but it certainly seems like they are a well-oiled machine right now. So I'm happy they're on the other side of the bracket.
Right. Right. Now, with living in Florida, I mean, are you able to, did UVA make it down to Miami this year, or are you able to, see any UVA games or?
I'm not sure if they came to Miami this year. Even if they did, that's still definitely a ways from me. But yeah, I was able to get back to Charlottesville this past fall actually, and got to go up and see Coach O'Connor and Coach Mack and Drew and BMAC and everyone there. So that was kind of my taste of UVA for and Charlottesville for the year. I'd obviously love to get to one of their games, but I'm not in the most I'm not in the best geographic setting to make that happen.
Right.
But being back in Charlottesville for the fall was awesome.
Yes, and then just with coming back from an injury, then come the off season, with possibly a free agent contract.
Yeah, so when I was released by the Cardinals last year, I signed with the Mariners,
Right.
and I loved the Mariners. I thought it was fantastic. I would love to re-sign with them. It was never going to happen just based off me being out for the season,
Mhm.
getting hurt towards the latter half of last year. But yeah, so I should be ready to rock and roll in a couple months here. I'm quite a ways through my rehab program already, but yeah, that's the idea, is looking at I'm a free agent this year and heading into next year. Hopefully, I should have plenty of time through a full off season on top of rehabbing this year to to be back to better than 100%. It turns out I was hurt for quite a while and I didn't
Mhm.
realize it. So now knowing that, it kind of explains a lot, and it makes me excited for knowing I was hurt for a while to really see how it feels to be healthy again.
Yeah, and and then also with being part of Great Bridge baseball. I mean, Coach Lee, who came on earlier on an earlier episode, country leading the program, and I definitely remember, Great Bridge when my brother and I were in high school, just being cream of the crop there and in the district play, and then the success that you guys had there with being part of Wildcat baseball and country leading the program nowadays.
Yeah, I mean, really, I played for two head coaches. Coach Lee, obviously, he mentioned Wiley Lee, and
Hmm.
uh, and then that was for my freshman and sophomore year, and then Sean Townsend took over for my junior and senior year. So, I mean, between those two guys, with Coach Townsend and his dad Townie, I mean, the baseball pedigree there and history and the 757 is pretty ridiculous. If you combine the two of them, those are two of the biggest names in the whole area you could mention. And then now, I was part of the program while Country was coaching. I didn't get a chance to, necessarily play for him,
Hmm.
but he's a great guy, and I'm super happy that he's the one that can be in charge there right now. I would have loved to played for him, but it makes me happy that the kids that are coming through Great Bridge right now are getting the chance to play for him, because he's been nothing but great towards me, or whenever I needed anything afterwards when I was still in town, he would never hesitate to offer a helping hand or something. So he's awesome, and I'm happy for the program and where they're headed.
Yes, and when you were at UVA, I mean, what was a summer there for you? Since you were a pitcher, was it, working out at home, or was there an opportunity to go throw innings here in one of the collegiate summer ball leagues?
Yeah, it's an interesting question. So I had 3 summers with UVA. One was summer school before my freshman year even started. So I got up there, took 2 classes, kind of got acclimated, a lot of conditioning, you know, training, stuff like that, kind of getting your feet wet. That was cool just to like be in college, basically. Just a lot of just pretty standard conditioning and all that kind of stuff. Then after my freshman year, myself, and then 2 other UVA pitchers, and then one of our catchers, we all went off to the New England Collegiate Baseball League and played in Keene, New Hampshire together. UVA typically sends a fair amount of players to Keene, and so we played there for the summer. Right after Omaha, we went to
Mm.
Omaha, got home for a couple of days, and went off to summer ball. So that was a really cool experience. Just made it cooler getting to be there with your teammates. My roommate actually went to Texas Tech, but we were all on the same team together. So being with those guys, that was a pretty cool thing. And then after my sophomore year, for a while there, it wasn't look like we were going to be in the postseason. Really, everyone knows how it ended with the national championship, but for a while it wasn't looking great. And so I had a spot on Team USA, the
Mm.
collegiate team or the collegiate national team, and then or I originally had a spot in the Cape and was supposed to go there, and then I got a spot with the collegiate national team. And as our season kept going on, contrary to what everyone thought would happen, um, my innings kept building up and building up and building up. And yeah, and I actually missed a start in Omaha due to fatigue. And my second start I think it would have been against Florida.
Mm.
And so um, after the national championship, it was like, I'm shot, so I actually ended up going home and doing some training there. But yeah, I hit an inning. That was most innings I'd ever thrown in a season at that point. So I hit an innings limit that we didn't necessarily expect to get to. We're obviously really happy it did. Um, but that was the extent of my summer ball experience.
Right. Yes, and to piggyback on what you just remarked there about the 2015, I mean, it's the phrase that you actually hear. It's not how you start, but how you finish. And there with postseason, getting in the tournament, getting a shot to go to Omaha, and just have pool play and see where the chips fall there when after pool plays over. Not really the top seed.
Yeah, I mean, I think what a lot of people don't know about that team, unless you've seen the documentary, is we had some veterans get healthy, some like first round, second round talent players get healthy in the back half of the season. Really, really the postseason. Um, and I think we finished like 7th in the ACC that year, so we were kind of an average team.
Go ahead.
But then as the season went on, like I said, we got those older guys healthy, and then we had a lot of really, really talented freshmen that year, guys that went on to be, big leaguers and high draft picks. And so their maturation throughout the season, by the end of that year, they're not the same player they were, come February, March,
Right.
April, come June, basically. So those guys have matured a lot, the Pavin Smiths, the Adam Hazley, Ernie Clement, like those guys played huge roles for us. So we were there was a lot that happened throughout the course of that year where you could just say we finished 7th in the ACC, like and just kind of scoff at us, where we came a long way by the end of the season at that point.
Yeah, and when like you first started off, I mean, 2014 was you guys in Vanderbilt, and then 2015 there for any listeners that are out there after pool play, it's a 2 out of 3.
Yeah, so the way I like to think about it is, everyone knows there's regionals and then there's the super regionals and then it's Omaha. Well, Omaha is basically another regional and then another super regional for the national championship is basically how it is. So you have regional, super regional, then another regional and a super regional is kind of the simplest way to think about it, because you look at the bracket and it can get real confusing, but that's pretty much how it works.
Well, and I know that I'm glad to see the 2 out of 3 after pool play, because back in the day when it was just one game winner take all. I mean, it seemed like that it wasn't really fair. You play pool play during the week, and then it just the old way was just one game winner take all.
Yeah, I mean that doesn't. I don't. I'm never really a fan of that in baseball in general. For something like that, I mean, if that was the case, we would have lost 2 years in a row in the national. I'm not sure what happened in 14, but in 15 we lost game one, and
Right.
it would have been over for us. So yeah, fortunately that's not the case.
Yeah, well, hey Connor, I appreciate your time, and look forward to seeing you back on the field there next year. Any final words here for any high school players here that are listening, and especially here in the 757, and wanna play at that next level?
Wow. I like doing stuff like this. Um, I would say you got to try to play with the best, man. If you really want it, you got to work really hard. It doesn't matter how much your mom or dad wants you to be good, or how much your coach wants you to be good. You got to want to be good. And then you got to put in the work for it. If that's what you want, dedicate yourself to it, go get it. Try to play with the best team in the area. If you're the best kid on the best team in the area, you can be a pretty good player. And, it's something to shoot for, right? Set goals for yourself, and and try to surround yourself by the best coaches, the best players. Surround yourself by the best in whatever you're doing. So that would be my biggest piece of advice. And if you're the best kid in the area, maybe you play on the best team in the state, or the best
Yeah.
team in the East Coast. So always try to to elevate yourself, and shoot for the next level. That's what I would say.
Yeah, well, hey, Connor, I mean, I know that with doing the podcast, I wanted to get you to come on, but glad that our schedules here met up here, with especially UVA back in Omaha, and it all gets started there tomorrow. So thanks again for your time.
Absolutely. Go Who's tomorrow.
All right, fans. So that was Connor Jones there with us, and go Who's what 7 o'clock, right, against Florida.
Something like that. Yeah, I'll,
Yeah,
I'll be ready.
right. All right, Connor. Thanks again.
Yeah,
Okay.
thanks, Rags.
All right. See you.